Waiting today, Steve decided to pull up ChatGPT and kind of a conversation about GDPs and different countries and stuff. And we should have recorded it because he was quite. ChatGPT is useful, but Steve kept on like bringing up things and prompts it, and I would interrupt it and say, "You got to clarify this. This isn't accurate." And actually got to the point. And I think ChatGPT does like a self-adjusting kind of
Right.
heuristic or whatever. Anyway, yeah, basically we're comparing it's relevant to what we're going to be talking about today about tariffs and all that stuff, about GDPs and stuff like that, and products produced in other countries. And basically, it comes down to the fact that the United States, even though we have 360 million people, and there are other countries out there that have, more than a billion, like China and India, over a
Right.
billion. When you break down the possibility for the buying power of the person who is the average person, when you break it down, even though they got a huge GDP, say for China, which is basically state-run capitalism, there when you break it down, actually they don't have the buying power for each individual, which would be the GDP, the per capita output and stuff combined together. Nobody has anything close to what we have.
Right.
And then when you figure into the Germany we're looking at too, but we're talking about Germany and be a comparison to the United States, and everybody's got that impression that the wealth of a person living in Germany is relatively about similar to the United States. When you figure in the fact that Steve lived there and he brought this point up that you're not allowed to even most people's real estate is not owned by them. It's part of the state, the government. So when you figure in the fact that their state doesn't own the bulk of the United States real estate, it's a large portion still in the hands of
And then you take into
individuals.
account of their population.
Yeah, you took into account of population. When you adjust that, actually, the citizens of Germany and the citizens of China, if you were to extrapolate what the current GDP is in Germany, and you try to spread it to the population the size of China, they're pretty much actually
$3,000.
$3,000 a person.
Good Lord.
And so, I mean, when you look at the fact too, when you look at the fact that the United States uses the Federal Reserve System, which basically inflates dollars or contracts the dollars, money supply and stuff like that
Right.
randomly, whenever they think they have to. Our wealth is basically just digitalized. So, I
Right.
mean, when you talk about tariffs, everybody's talking about how hard it's going to hit the average citizen. But when you look at the fact that even if we got full acceptance of all our products into other countries, they wouldn't be able to pull
They can't
in.
handle it.
They couldn't handle it.
Because what was it? Is it how many people in Germany?
80 million.
80 million people in Germany.
Right.
They don't have, their economy is not on par with ours. What they do is they adjust it
Right.
to make it fair.
Yeah.
And that's and when you really do numbers for numbers,
Right.
they can't support us.
No.
There's another fact too, though. Of course, the point that has to be made too. We own property. Okay, although the case can be made, you have to pay property taxes. If you don't, they take it from you. So do we really? We're basically running it.
We don't really.
But we're allowed the illusion of having property ownership. But when you figure in the fact where you do have a right to, if you want to move somewhere, you have a right to sell that property. And of course, they're going to suck up a large portion of it in capital gains, probably, if it's a real.
If you don't use it,
Right.
a certain amount of times, federal government will get you.
Yeah, so basically, but if you figure that there is nobody out there, even industrialized nations of Europe, which we've always said are trading partners and have similar lifestyles, nobody has the amount of wealth the average United States citizen has. Nobody does.
But our real trading partners are China, Pakistan, India,
Right.
Indonesia, and I forgot what the fifth one was.
I think but when you look at the
But they're on par with us.
What's
I mean, they've actually got more
I think
more population than we
right,
do.
we do. So we can afford, we can actually create more products that they could possibly want and desire
use.
and
Right.
use.
Those
and
are
wanna
the
buy.
countries we should be going after.
Right.
Not worry about Europe.
Now Europe basically they have a relatively stagnant economy. I've heard that before. People who've lived there. I had friends. Well, you lived in the military. In the military, you
Yeah.
lived in Germany, but I had friends that lived there. The expatriates. They lived in other countries, and basically France and Germany. They have established routines. They have a beautiful history and all that stuff. But when
It's
it comes
very
to the spending power of the average individual, they live very limited
Yeah,
income
and most
comparison.
of them live in apartments.
Right, and it's
Right.
so I mean it's like there's no and that's what another thing is too. Is Steve also brought up about the roving brownouts that happened in 2000s, right, in Germany,
Right.
in Europe, and people were in hospitals. They were dying because of heat stroke and other related
They
illness
didn't
problems.
have backup. They didn't have air conditioning.
Because what it is, it's a social, and you could not get ChatGPT to admit it was call it a socialist country. They said a socialist democracy.
Democracy.
They would still have to add this buffer on that. And anyway, it's like it wouldn't admit to that. And finally, you got to say, well, it would be called socialistic or something like that, or socialistic, but they had to add democracy to it, which it's debatable. It's a true democracy anyway, but or even we are. But anyway, the point is that Trump's. I mean, we're talking about Trump's budgets. I mean, this is all the list we got is basically Trump oriented because the man is one busy person, man. I mean, he's all over the place, and he's. I've never seen such an active president. Never. I mean,
No,
never.
and then you get more information at his press conferences that what's her I forget what her name is.
Yeah, I can't remember the name, but
Levitt.
Levitt or
Caroline Levitt or something.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
she's very informative.
yeah,
God, yeah, and she doesn't need this big old notebook or anything. She just walks out there and she brings receipts with her.
right. I mean,
You know?
I guess there's some things I don't like about the Trump administration. I mentioned when they come up, but as far as for transparency, I don't think there's been an administration who's more transparent. I don't.
No, I mean because the media is up their butt for everything
Yeah, and
that
it's
they do. I
Mm.
mean, but that's the problem. They do so much that the media can't keep up.
And that's and the media looks stupid trying to get through the captcha because every time they're doing one thing, Trump's about 10 steps ahead.
Yeah,
of
I
them.
mean, think about it. When's the last time you watched Fox News?
You know what? Actually, I shut off all our cable. I just don't watch it. So,
yeah.
The
don't
only
watch
thing
it
I
all.
watch on Fox News is Gutfeld.
yeah, I watched it.
Unless somebody says, "Hey, watch this," and it's on Fox, I don't go to Fox.
There's nothing that I would be interested. Nobody. They're all a bunch of liars,
I
just
watched
like the rest of them.
I watched the 5 and then watched Gutfield.
But another thing is though, we're talking about the economy and
But
Trump
Laura
being
Trump is
busy.
good.
But I've never seen so many judges trying to insert themselves in the economic concerns of the United
Because
States.
there never has been.
I never seen. The thing is, I checked it up one time on Chat GPT. I asked, I said, doesn't the president and basically the president and Congress have oversight of tariff agreements?
Let's
and
use the word
trade agreements?
research.
Yeah, research.
on
I researched
ChatGPT.
it. I researched on Chat GPT. I've never heard, and I don't think I don't know how they inserted themselves, or even
I
somewhat
don't know,
legitimate to do
because
this.
what they find they say that they've got a party that's been what's the word, an injured party.
Okay, so now that they did give a proviso on that, and they said that the only way they could actually insert themselves, it had a legal issue connected to it, extra legal issue other than the trade itself. So that's where that shows judicial activism. Try to search that out.
Okay, it's the same, but it's amazing. It's the same judges.
Yeah,
If you notice, it's always the same judges. Always having the same problem.
Yeah, but I think it's going to clear itself up. I mean,
It is already clearing itself up in the Supreme Court.
yeah. It's,
They're already slapping these things get out all left and right.
but I just think it's like a nuisance stuff. I mean, I then again, I don't want to advocate total eradication of any roadblocks. I don't want to do that either.
If the judge says that you got to do it, you have to do it. I
Right.
mean, whether you want to or not,
No, I think at least it gives pause too.
as long as it's not going to harm anyone.
Right. So I
Well,
mean,
this whole thing about the judge with the guy with El Salvador and the guy that lived in Maryland, that's El Salvador,
Well,
that was on 13. That one was totally stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He was an El Salvador citizen, right? The president of El Salvador said he belongs in our country.
And we're not going to give him up.
We're
He
not
said
giving him back
that.
up.
He said that in the Oval Office.
Right. We're not giving him up. So the press for all this time
Keep on going and going.
keep
at it.
asking about the same stupid question.
But it was answered, 2 months ago when the president of El Salvador said, it's a dead issue. I am not giving him up. He's an El Salvadorian
He's in our prison.
citizen. He's in our prison, and that's where he belongs. Well, this should have been in the topic.
another thing is too, just kind of high. I mean, all the people that the left chooses to be their poster boys for, like,
Are disgusting.
wrongdoing are disgusting people.
Right.
I mean, they're not. I mean, like
Right.
George Floyd was a scumbag. There's no way. I mean, Chauvin wasn't much better. He should never have stayed in that job as long as he had
Well, I
been.
mean, St. George Floyd of fentanyl.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly. I mean, this man held a gun to a pregnant woman's belly. His friends were robbing her. Yeah, this man does not deserve a second or third chance. No, he doesn't.
No,
He should
but
never
yeah,
be-
You mean he doesn't deserve to have a golden casket?
No.
Let across the street and put pedestals up on and millions of dollars.
No,
No.
and then the WNBA praises him. What was it? 5 years to the day that he died of fentanyl.
Yeah.
They praised him on the court and had a moment of prayer.
Oh, well, that's good. They finally got a moment of prayer, but then
That's what they're real selective when they use prayer, right? They don't want us to do it, but only when they find it.
No, they don't want it in schools, but they'll do it in public.
how about the
for
girl
veterans.
how about the girl who gets arrested in Russia for drugs, marijuana and everything and drugs when she breaks the law in that country?
Right.
Brittany
She-
Grinders,
Brittany Griner,
the girl.
Yeah. She
That's
breaks their law.
questionable.
And she breaks their law. She admits it, and she admits it when she's over here too that she actually did because she's like, I don't, and she breaks their law. We trade somebody, leave an American.
We traded a
hero.
spy.
Yeah.
We traded one of the top spies for her because
Because Biden's stupid.
because Biden's stupid.
I'm not saying that she's an American citizen. She shouldn't have been left to rot over there, but there are other American citizens who are rotting over there still to this day.
She came back.
I don't remember if you remember back in the 90s, some guy did in Shanghai or something like that, did an act of vandalism, and citizen of the United States, and he was going to be caned, and people made a big deal about that.
Yeah, I remember that one.
You remember that? Yeah.
Yeah.
I back then I went, you're in that country, you respect the rules of that
He
country.
was a young kid.
Yeah, and it's like, so what? You get caned. Okay, you learn your lesson. I mean, okay, they say it's brutal. You shouldn't have pushed the envelope. That's just the ugly American on steroids. I mean, you don't have a right to defy them.
Okay, but let's put the shoe on the other foot. We have all these ugly foreigners in our country
Doing the same thing.
doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't want to.
Hurt their
their
feelings.
We don't want to hurt their feelings or whatever.
No, just with respect. I mean, I always was taught as a child, when you go visit somebody's house, they might have arcane or weird rules. And if you knew them,
follow the rules.
you follow the rules. I mean, when you're in Rome, you do what the Romans do.
Okay,
But-
look at what happened this weekend with that guy in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
You don't like Israel.
Okay, but the thing is that that's one incident that they magnify to the nth degree. There's shit going on all over in this country.
Well, how about these guys are taking over these campuses? That is
No, see, I believe they have a right to protest on campus, so they have a right to protest on, in the public areas where they don't impede traffic. That's what.
Yeah, but they're automatically, you're pro-Hamas.
No, it's like if you don't
You're
like,
anti-Semitic.
it's like
Just because you don't like babies being killed.
yeah, it's like they try to. They couch it. It's binary. You're either pro-Israel, everything they do, or you're a Hamas
Okay.
member.
and I can see your point though. But here's another side. I don't believe that if you leave from your dorm to go to one spot,
You shouldn't be impeded.
No,
You shouldn't be impeded. You shouldn't feel like you're threatened. You shouldn't feel like that. You should be able to go to class and not be anything thrown at you, or you should be able to insults. I don't care what your
You
race,
know what?
color,
I'm sorry. I
is.
want proof.
Yeah,
I want.
No, I do. I want
down
that.
to it now. I'm sorry. I just don't want somebody to come up and said somebody threw something at me and I felt unsafe. I want it on camera.
Well,
You
so-
have a phone. Why didn't you film it?
Well,
They can
there's
film
so
it.
many charges of anti-Semitic activity has always been reported, and then later on they found, like, one woman said somebody spray SWAT stickers on her car in a parking ramp. They have cameras.
She
It
did.
was her that did it.
Oh yeah,
They've done this numerous times.
Who's that one actor that did it? Jesse or
About Jesse Smollett,
Yeah.
saying you got to keep. This is MAGA country.
But I mean, with this day and age, I
Oh,
want
that's-
proof.
yeah.
I'm not going to take somebody's word.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. I mean, years ago, I said, that's unfortunate. That's horrible. We got to stop this. Now, guess what? It's so politicized. You could just, all you got to do
But
is
I
have
mean,
one
when you
incident.
find out, some of our greatest history, you find out that the whole Rosa Parks thing was
Stage.
planned and implemented.
Right.
And they even took a different person because they found out the other person had been pregnant out of wedlock.
Yeah, she didn't make the poster child.
No, but you find out our history's bullshit.
Yeah, it's like,
And we're supposed to be spoon fed this stuff, especially at COVID. I'm sorry. After COVID, I'm sorry. You're going to have to
prove it.
your word is not good enough for me anymore.
yeah, it's like that's been. And then the thing is, I've had people who used to roll their eyes at me when I was questioning the COVID narrative. And it's Steve can attest to this because before we knew you. Me and a woman were doing shows about the COVID lockdowns and stuff, and YouTube did everything they could to threaten us to stop doing it, and they did. They blocked their accounts for 2 weeks.
So that's why we went to Rumble.
Yeah, we went to
originally.
Rumble, and thing is, I can't stand this. We have a First Amendment. We allowed somehow when the modern day media come in creation, the radio and then later the television. We allowed this group, a bunch of federal people, to create the Federal Communications Commission. You have the First Amendment. You already have that in place. How the hell did that occur? How the hell did these people just sleep at the switch rate? Oh yeah, it's okay if we're going to find out what's going to be said or done on the media. Well, they should have been fighting tooth and nail back then to prevent the formation of the Federal Communications Commission. Now, I can understand about maybe operating the equipment and stuff like that because you wouldn't want to bleed through and other issues that might develop, for the technological aspect of it. But the content, no. Why the hell that was even permitted? I'd like to go back to maybe somebody who was older and try to find out the rationale behind that. And I'd like to know how that happened. Because of that, we got into the First World War, the Second World
You
War.
could put the same thing on how back in the day, in the late '60s, before that, the property owners voted on millages. If
Right.
you had to own land
Right. Go
or property in order to vote on millages, and then they opened it up to everybody.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, my parents, my grandparents owned property, and we used to rent it out. And I remember, later on when they did open it up, you had to be before you had to be like you said, you had to be a homeowner, a property. You know,
Right.
you pay property taxes, and then they allowed everybody and these vote on it. And people were saying, well, I pay taxes when I pay my rent. That's a true point. When you're paying a portion of what you pay as rent is going to go logically is going to go to pay off the overhead of keeping that property. You know, and that's including property taxes. But even if that building's unoccupied, we're still paying taxes on it to retain it.
Correct.
Otherwise, it's taken from us. So I don't think if you have no skin in the game, guess what? Every time you vote for this
You don't
disability,
care.
yeah, every time you vote for it, if it's significant enough, your rent's going to go up. You're not going to be immune to the effects of
Eventually,
eventually. So I mean, that's stupid to think it's going to be on somebody else's dime. I mean,
you make a good point. If you have no skin in the game,
right?
And all this sort of stuff, and congressmen and all these different politicians, when they vote on different things, they don't have no skin in the game.
No.
They'll vote for whatever.
Oh, they don't care. They're taken care of.
Besides, if they don't, even if it does, might start cutting into their personal income. They just increase their income.
Well, look
Yeah.
at what Lindsey Graham. I mean,
Yeah, oh yeah.
what that little snake.
You got
did.
Graham on here?
Oh yeah. He you know that glory stealer Richard Blumenthal. He said he was in Vietnam, wasn't it?
Yes.
He said that he got medals and different things
Yeah.
in Vietnam. He's a stolen valor dude.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham went to Ukraine, wasn't it? Yeah, Ukraine. Yeah, and what you're trying to do, what Trump's trying to do,
He tried to undermine Trump, and then coincidentally, Ukraine started the drone bombing of Russia.
Yeah, it took out I first report. I heard it's not accurate, but they said they took out 40 planes doing that. Was that true or
Yeah,
I don't know.
Went 3,000 miles in with a drone. 3,000 miles into Russia's spot with drones and did a bombing in there. Right when Trump is sitting there trying to get a ceasefire between the two places, trying to get a very thing between. And here comes Lindsey Graham, who says this, and who says the dumbass thing and he's like, well, President Trump says, there's not that many cards that you hold. Well, we hold 2 cards right here. We hold the Senate and the Congress, and I'll get them. And I'm thinking, you dumb idiot. This is the man who gets you elected, and you go out here and you say this bull crap. This is you. This is Lindsey.
Well, you remember what he did when Trump was trying to lobby for the Roe versus Wade to put it back to the states, the abortion rights. And Lindsey Graham came out that he wanted a national abortion ban at the same time.
Yeah. He's basically undermining Trump again. I mean, I don't understand why the people of South Carolina keep this son of a bitch in office.
They're saying he's very weak.
Well, I hope he's weak enough to be ousted.
He needs to go,
He
like
needs to
the
be
rest of the
primary.
old timers.
He needs to be primary.
How long has he been in power?
Too long.
I mean, yeah, if it's been 10 years, but he's got his inclinations, he should be.
Well, here's the thing: him and McCain and Biden were Biden. I believe Schumer and McConnell. Those were the war hawks. They are the war hawks. They make the most money. They make money out of every time you go to war.
Yeah.
He's not happy when there's ceasefires. He didn't want the ceasefires. He wants the war in Israel. The reason why he loves Israel so much is because Israel's always going to go for another war. He didn't like the Jacob Accord. He hated that. He hates anything that Trump does that tries to bring peace and anything. Trump is a peace person. Lindsey's a war person because Lindsey gets money from all these different war departments. The war department is an intercity thing within the interstate of the workings of the government that pays everything to Lindsey Graham.
Right. And at the same time, this guy's pounding his chest in Kiev. I understand he's a South Carolina senator, but he could have used his public eye or whatever you want to say to bring more eyes onto North Carolina for the hurricane.
Yeah.
He never went up there.
No.
Never said anything about it.
Nope. And Blumenthal didn't do a damn thing about South Carolina, North Carolina either. But hey, you know what? Let's fly all the way across halfway across the world to Ukraine and say something about them. Let's care about these people.
Yeah,
let's forget about the American people. At those points, I give you no credit. Get out of the Congress.
Yeah, it's like if you're concerned about those other countries, why don't you, after you leave office,
take care of your own country?
Yeah, but
take care of our own people And then once we get everything straight here, then you can go back. That's the best thing Trump could do is just say, look, no more money for anybody until we're taken care of.
I mean, what? I mean, I don't understand. Like, I've said that, and people say, "Well, that's racist." I went,
Why is
"How's that
that
racist?"
racist?
They said, "Well, it's because other countries have different people." I said, "We got the biggest composite."
Well,
of
okay,
the
why
world. They're
why
here.
does the United States have to step up all the time?
Yeah,
Why don't these NATO countries step
yeah.
up?
Oh, that's right.
Just do me a favor, tell me this because you and I both study the Bible. We
Right.
both, all three of us study the Bible, but you went to college. I mean, we both went there and all this. But here's the difference. Some were telling me we're in America in the Bible or in the Constitution or anything in the world just says that we have to take care of every country.
It doesn't.
It doesn't, and Trump is saying that.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
a-
if you think about it, Israel, they tried to say, "Oh, we're going to attack," but Trump obviously talked to somebody, and they're not going to attack anybody.
No.
No, I mean, the thing is, what I like to know is, I like to know this, and maybe I'm not directing towards anybody, but except for the diehard Zionist Christians, I don't see why me opposing slaughter of children, how I'm considered a member of Hamas and anti-Israel. Because guess what? I think about immediate cease
Okay,
of
but
hostility.
who is the leader of Hamas? That's who.
Yeah, who is it?
At least we knew Yasser Arafat
Right.
for the PLO, right?
Yeah, there's one guy. I
Who's
can't
the
remember-
big dude who's speaking for Hamas?
Is it?
There isn't one
The last one
because
got
I don't
killed.
think they're saying the last one got killed. I don't even think Hamas.
Is a real entity? Maybe.
No,
No, I
maybe.
think it's a group of people who don't know who the leader is. There's
I don't know. I don't think there is one.
Right. It's
I
like,
just think it's armed citizenry
I think
who's trying to protect themselves from what's the name of the Israeli army? I forget.
IDF.
Idea.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
trying to protect themselves in their homes.
Because
I think that's what they're calling Hamas.
it's like, it's like basically, okay, so they're supposed to just get hammered on, destroyed, and eventually, when they peter out, the IDF peters out with
Well, what
you know,
about
weapons,
that thing
they're
that
gonna
I
take
forget
peace?
what the senator newly elected for Florida said that we should nuke.
Yeah, Gaza
We
Strip.
should nuke the Gaza Strip. Well, dumb. If you nuke the Gaza Strip, you just be not nuking
Yeah, it's like
Israel as well. It doesn't.
it's like, do
It
you realize
doesn't disseminate. I mean, what's the word?
it doesn't dissipate sufficiently enough not to impact the rest of Israel? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's like,
did these guys actually ever show up to a I don't know
geography
a
lesson.
geography lesson in school?
I don't think so. I mean,
Did
Yeah,
they
I
ever
guess
say,
he
"Oh,
doesn't
do
know
you
that it's
too"?
just a little.
it's a little sliver.
Well, he'll be kissing the wall soon. So
Yeah, good.
he'll probably restate what he said.
Hey, guess what, guys? If I ever get elected to any office, I got to be sent to Israel. I'm not going to put on the yarmulke, bob at the wall. I'm not going to do that. No, I mean, besides, I think it's a Roman fortress. I don't think it's part of the remaining portion
You
of
never
the
get
temple.
elected to go there.
I would never get elected
I'm
anyway.
just traveling. There's just for laughter. That's all I'm going.
I know,
That's
it's
the
like-
only time I'm going to Israel.
Well, I mean, look at it. They go, look, we got these donkeys to put on our little hat,
Yeah.
and they're kissing our wall.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's like, if it was a legitimate section, I don't have I am not a
But
Jew.
they're laughing because it's not even holy to them.
It's not even. I mean, I don't see how it can be because what's in dispute. You know that from the Bible studies. It's been disputed if that's actually legitimately a portion of the wall because according to Scripture in the Bible for the New
It was
Testament,
destroyed.
it was destroyed. Not one stone left upon another. Was that a way of saying nanny missed us? No. I mean, I think it was a Roman fortress. I mean, all other signs that I guess I'm picking the cherry picking who I believe in. I think it was a part of the Roman fortress. I don't think it was part of the wall of the temple. I don't believe it was. I don't see the indication of it.
I know that they rebuilt. I know that they've rebuilt it, but then you know how it is this way.
But
God is not in a building. Never has been in a
No.
building. God has never been in any. God has been in where He said, "Take my people." He walked across these different places. He's been in the people. He's not been in a building.
But me and John aren't against Israel. We would just like Israel to exist just like every other country in peace.
But I would
not attack their neighbors.
I think the thing is, Israel needs to be put in a spot.
Well, they
where
haven't
he's-
had a prime minister who hasn't been a war hawk for what 40 years.
Well, it's what, at least 25 years without 20 some years
Since
about
then,
Netanyahu.
Well, what was her name? The female prime minister.
Golda Meir. Yeah.
She was before him, right?
Way before him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly.
She was.
Her, and then I can't remember the one after. But what I'm saying is,
There was one that was peaceful.
You know, so Yitzhak Rabin, I think, is actually
Maybe.
murdered. I think he was the one that was murdered by a zealot who didn't want peace process, or he didn't like what he was doing. I think it was Yitzhak Rabin or one of them. I know, but there were some David Ben Gurion, all those guys. I mean, those are the original people, the Zionists that actually came from Europe originally. And I think Meir actually spent most of the time in the United
You know, the
States.
Jewish people I know that live in the States that I'm friends with, right? They are not warmongering people. They're not. They
Are
don't
they
follow.
religious though?
They're religious, but they're not warmongering people.
Mhm.
No,
They are very much peaceful people. You know what I'm saying? They don't go along with all this stuff.
but
They
when
just
you
wanna watch you
got
just-
one in charge,
but you got this one guy who's in charge that wants to take over.
and the
everything.
reason he's in charge is the War Powers Act,
Right.
Yep.
And he can't stay. And he
and
can't
he
get.
can't stay there forever. It can't be a war for perpetually, can they?
No, they can't. Well, they. I think he's got every intention of starting it because
No, because he don't. Yeah, because as soon as he's out, who's going to come after him? The World Court.
yeah, the world court.
Well,
but
the world court won't come after him.
You-
Oh yes, they will.
well,
And you got to remember, there's only three countries that are with
As long
three or
as-
four countries that
as
are
long-
with Israel. There's 121 that's against them.
as long as the United States backs him and backs Israel, the world court will not go after him.
I don't think right now the United States is doing a very good job of backing Israel.
no.
I don't
No,
think
but-
Trump really cares, and not. I don't think Israel is on the front burner
No,
for Trump.
no.
What?
Right now, Ukraine, the ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia is
Well,
on,
and I
on
think
top.
that's wearing his skin thin too. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out and just says,
Screw you guys. This is
NATO,
not my
you
fight.
figure it out. It's your problems in your backyard. It's not mine.
It's like, I mean, I wonder how quick the foreign European powers will come up with trying to reallocate funds from their country's budget into NATO. Because if we pull out, we are NATO. Like 85% of the money, I think, comes from the United States, or something like 75 to 85% of it.
At the beginning of Trump's administration, within the first one, he was actually talking about pulling out
Right.
and saying, you know what, guys, until this stuff is taken care of, I'm walking out of this. And at any time, he said he could walk away from this stuff. And they're like, well, wait. And that's when those guys came over and talked to him. Remember the European Union guy came over here? The guys from the England, all those guys came over to try to beg him to stay part of all this stuff and stay in this stuff. He said, there's going to come a time this is going to wear my patience thin, and I'm walking away.
I hope
And
he
we don't-
does. I mean,
And that's when Lindsay decides to go over there and try and put this back on the right burner. But honestly, the Congress and them can sit there and say all day long, we want to send money over there, but it's got to be Trump that signs the thing that says.
oh, I'm
that
sure
money
they'll
goes to him.
find a way to send the money without him.
You know,
But here's a better thought.
They'll lose.
What about Trump saying that he's going to reallocate the money the billions of dollars? I think was it $3.5 billion to Harvard to trade schools.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I heard. And I think that's
Does that make sense?
That makes
that
a
makes
lot of
sense. That makes more sense to me because we got this idea that you have to go to higher education, and let's face it, I don't see for the most part, unless you're. I'm going to say it this way: the only way you're going to get jobs in the area where you get these degrees that are really bizarre fields and get good money, good paying jobs when you're already politically connected. You're already your family
Right.
members, a member of Congress.
If you're
or
going to
senator,
Harvard, you're connected somehow.
somehow.
Right.
So basically, I basically think we're going to, if we want to be viable as a economy in the world, we're going to have people more
Well, okay.
engineering and stuff.
Why do you have to give all that money to Harvard when you got U of M?
All right.
We've got a medical school, right?
They have Michigan State as well as U of M, both have medical schools. Yeah.
Why you don't have to go to Harvard to be a
No.
premier
No.
doctor.
No,
No, you don't have to go to an Ivy League school for anything.
no, it's like that's the thing is what they want the brand recognition. That's all it is. I mean,
But it's tainted so bad. Does it really matter anymore?
no, it doesn't. It's a well,
Somebody said that the other day on TV. Someone said that the Ivy League colleges do not have they're not even looked at anymore with any
Oh,
respect.
yeah.
No, there's no respect to them.
Well,
I
like-
mean, some places still some law firms still look at them like, oh my god, you have to be there because it's all this stupid legacy shit. But other than that, no.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Well, I had a friend he was going out with a woman. She was a lawyer in Illinois, but she passed the bar exam for the state of Illinois and the state of Michigan. She went to U of D for law school. The thing is, everybody said, well, she could have gone with her grades and her connection. She could have gone to U of M Ann Arbor, right?
Right.
For law school, which is like it's ranked one of the 10th highest, best ones in law
Cooley's-
schools in the college.
Cooley's one of the best too.
Actually, it's good if you're going to stay within Michigan. If you go outside Michigan, you're basically a small fish in a big pond. Okay.
Right.
But anyway, she went to U of D because here's the thing is passing the bar exam is a prime thing which you got focus on when you're going to law school. and U of D graduates passed on the first attempt, whereas people who went to University of Michigan took 2 or 3 times on the
Right.
average, so to pass it. So I mean,
And they're proud of that. They tout that.
yeah, they pass. I mean,
UOD is our
Of their pass rate.
yeah, the pass rate. I mean, they want you to know, hit the ground running. You're going to be an attorney. You're going to be passing. You got to know what the laws is, so you can pass the bar exam and be a good, good defense or whatever. Good representation. All the theoretical crap is not going to help you. And that's what they have a tendency to. And I mean, I went to my background is in liberal arts, especially humanities. But let's face it, if I had my to do overs and stuff, I would have gone into something far more pragmatic. I mean, but I enjoyed it. It's interesting to know that. But I can see that from my perspective, I can see just where I can attack all this emphasis where it really doesn't have any value or much value. I mean, I think if I was to go back, I would actually become a chiropractor or something because it would have been practical. You help people, do something you enjoy. It's not intrusive as being a surgeon or anything else, and I think it helps people. So I mean, something like that. You could actually operate under your own hours. You could have a lot of autonomy. Something like that.
money.
Yeah, you could make money.
We're gonna have to play the music, John.
Okay.